Let's discuss with Gregory Korte. He is Bloomberg's senior White House and politics correspondent, joining us from Washington. So the tally alone is impressive, but let's talk about the makeup here when it comes to first-time donors, when it comes to women, Gregory.
Yeah, about a third of these are first-time donors, and that's really important for campaigns because, first of all, it suggests some upside. You know, there's a $3,300 per person limit that you can give to any one campaign, and so if you're giving $50 now, that means you still have a lot more that you could potentially give. And, you know, the one thing that campaigns worry about getting closer to Election Day is sort of donor fatigue, right? Because they're coming to these donors again and again, month after month. Those first-time numbers suggest there's still some enthusiasm there. And then 2/3 of these came from women, and that's sort of remarkable. Obviously, we have a woman at the top of the Democratic ticket. Not the first time that happened, but it really suggests sort of a growing gender gap, especially when contrasted to Donald Trump, who does not do particularly well with women. So those are the two numbers that were highlighted here in this $82 million per week, the last week of the convention. Total, it's about $500 million just since Kamala Harris took over the Democratic ticket, and that, you know, she was left with a war chest of $92 million from Joe Biden. So she's really built on that and expanded it.
You know, Gregory, I believe also that teachers and nurses, according to the campaign, were among the most highly watched professions here, or the most common donor professions when you look at those numbers as well. At the same time, you have a lot of Wall Street waking up, heard a lot of things over the weekend from a lot of high-level Wall Street folk who are very worried about the posturing from the Harris campaign when it comes to certain tax policies. Who is she courting ultimately on her economic policies as she goes further into this race?
Yeah, we're gotten to a little bit of an arms race here between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on economic policy, as they both look to really shore up some key demographics, especially in swing states. And so the best example of that is Donald Trump proposing no income taxes or earnings taxes of any kind on tipped income. That's something that Kamala Harris followed up with her own proposal. They're also dueling on child care tax credits with different proposals. These are extremely expensive proposals, and I think the worry is that if you're giving away these sort of tax breaks at the lower end of the income spectrum, what is that going to mean for taxes, both corporate taxes and taxes on high earners, in order to balance the budget? Because what we're seeing so far, we're looking at a lot of budget-busting proposals that if either campaign is going to be honest with the math here, they're going to have to find revenue somewhere else.
And Gregory, before we let you go, we don't have much time left, but I want to talk about the debate because I mentioned that we have 15 days to go, but then you take a look at what Trump was posting on Truth Social over the weekend, saying that I watched ABC fake news this morning and I asked, why would I do the debate against Kamala Harris on that network? So maybe backtracking a little bit on that agreement to debate her on stage, what are the campaigns actually saying?
Yeah, well, keep in mind, this is a game that Donald Trump has played again and again through a number of campaign cycles. Will he debate? Won't he debate? There's a lot of, gamesmanship here. The debate about the debates is sort of the phase that we're in right now. As of now, he has committed to that date, and certainly Kamala Harris is expecting him to show up. Certainly, if he doesn't show up, the Harris campaign will try to capitalize on that to say that Trump is scared to debate her. Keep in mind what happened just a couple of months ago when Trump debated Biden. That was a game-changing moment for the campaign. Usually, most presidential campaigns, debates don't matter a whole lot. This is the campaign where maybe they do, and so this is high stakes, and that's, I think, where we're getting a little bit of the posturing here.